Hello and welcome to the 2015 edition of Journey to the Throne. I'm your host, Pearl Fontaine. Every year, 7 beauties from across Dominica vie for the title of Miss Dominica. Today I have with me one of those contestants. Odessa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell me, you're from the community of Bath Estate. What was your upbringing like in Bath Estate?
Bath Estate to me is a very quiet community, and I think because it was so quiet I was able to be focused, because I grew up in such a calm community that there were not many distractions, and because of that I was able to concentrate on my schoolwork. Therefore I succeeded academically at school, and Bath Estate is just a welcoming place. There are so many different things that Bath Estate has to offer. We have so many things to offer. For example, a playing field where I used to ride my bike growing up as a child, a basketball court, and a river where I enjoy bathing on the weekends.
Very nice. Has living or growing up in Bath Estate influenced your life in any way?
I would say that since it was so quiet and since it was so quiet and the community is so welcoming, I think that, and we have so many diverse personalities in Bath Estate, I think this is why I'm able to interact with people, with different kinds of people, and I think it also contributed to my personality as a teacher.
Okay. The reason I asked about Bath Estate is because I think a lot of people have different perceptions of Bath Estate. So mine is that it's not as quiet as you say it is, but see, you live there. So, you know, I'm getting a different perspective, which is great. Tell me about your experience on stage. I know you're no stranger to the stage.
Okay. My very first experience on stage was in primary school. I believe I was in grade 5. I was a member of the St. Martin's Primary School choir, and I participated in the choir festival with the school, and we emerged the winners. So that was my very first experience on stage, and being a part of that winning experience just gave me so much confidence, and it enabled me to become comfortable on stage. That was my very first experience. And in high school I was also a member of various clubs, and being a part of so many different clubs, I was also able to perform in other arenas. For example, I was a member of the speech chorale, so I recited poems, and that was just a wonderful experience.
So you're not shy at all?
No, I don't think I'm very shy.
Okay. Okay, well that's great. But you are also a part of the Miss Mass Jamboree at the Dominica State College. Tell me about that experience and how it differs from the experience of this pageant.
The Miss Jamboree 2013, the Miss Jamboree pageant in general is a school pageant, whereas the Miss Dominica pageant is a national pageant. That's one major difference. So the pressures of the Miss Dominica pageant are much more than that of the Miss Jamboree pageant. And seeing that it was just my first time taking part in a pageant at college, it was just my first time, and it was a very unique experience for me, because I never thought of going on stage solo before.
Okay.
I never thought about that before college, and it was a very new experience for me. So that was the first time I actually got to perform alone. So if I made a mistake, I felt that nobody would know, because nobody knows my routine, whereas it's different from dancing, and it's different from any other competition that I've taken part in. But that experience is one that really introduced me to the public. That's where I felt that I made a statement.
Okay.
But for the Miss Dominica pageant, I feel that a lot of people already know me because of the Miss Jamboree pageant, so it's not, so I think I have to do a lot more to impress them, so that they expect good things from me.
That's right. That's right. You have to leave an impression. You're absolutely right.
Yes, and for the Miss Dominica pageant, there's a lot more entailed. Fitness is one of the major components in the Miss Dominica pageant, and that was not a component in the Miss Jamboree pageant. And when I contested for that Miss Jamboree pageant, I was less than 100 pounds. So I've had to put on a lot of weight.
Okay.
So it's a challenge. It's more challenging than the Miss Jamboree pageant.
Okay, well, thank you for that explanation. You're also a teacher at the convent high school. How important do you think your role as a teacher is to young women at the school?
We often hear persons say that teachers touch lives forever, and I personally believe that. As a teacher, I see myself as a second mother to my students. I think that we are given so much trust from the parents of those students to mold their minds and to guide them and to teach them. I think it is only right that we take our job seriously, because it's not just a job. This is something that we should not do just to get a paycheck at the end of the month. Teaching brings joy to me. Whenever I can help somebody, whenever I can listen to somebody's problems, whenever I can look at my students grow, whenever I can help them to get from point A to point B, I feel good about myself. And I didn't always want to be a teacher. However, I think that teaching called me. I think teaching called me, and especially teaching at the convent high school, a Catholic secondary institution. It has just enabled me to grow even more spiritually. And because I am growing spiritually, I can help my students to grow spiritually, which is my first goal for any one of my students.
That's awesome. Two things. How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
You're 20 years old, and you have been called, and I think that's commendable that you're taking on that responsibility of leading young people in a positive way, because you seem so positive yourself. Spiritually, you mentioned spirituality. How important do you think having a relationship with God is?
As a Catholic, I do think our relationship with God is very important. And a strong relationship with God should be first and foremost in our minds. Because as Catholics, we believe that after we have spent our time here on earth, we're going to go to heaven, or we want to go to heaven. So forming a strong relationship with God now will be very important in order to achieve that goal of getting to heaven.
Okay. And what's your idea of getting to heaven?
In my opinion, heaven is being with God. It's life after death. Heaven is life after death. We live, we are saved, we are happy.
And do you believe that how you live your life on earth impacts whether or not you get to heaven?
God is the ultimate judge. He is the judge. He is the one who is going to determine who gets to heaven and who does not. So he is the one who can answer that question.
Okay. Back to your students for a second. How would they describe you as a teacher?
I think my students would describe me as a very lovable person. I told them recently that I was leaving and that I'm never coming back. It was a joke, of course, but I told them that just to see their reaction. And my student said, "Miss, but you're leaving us, and after we have fallen in love with you, you're going to try to make us fall in love with somebody else, and we don't want to." So I think that my students are very attached to me, and I do think that some of them look at me as a role model.
But how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel proud of myself.
Good.
I feel like I am doing something purposeful with my life, and that is enough satisfaction for me.
Okay. If given the opportunity to forward your education, would you consider education?
I would consider education, because this experience that I have that I have gone through so far has been so unique and so different from any other working experience that I've had that I wouldn't want to trade it for the world.
Okay. What do you think the relevance of a national pageant is in our society?
I think national pageants are avenues for young ladies to first raise awareness for a particular cause, and while they're doing that, it also serves as an avenue for them to become more fit, for them to become healthier, for them to showcase their talents, to develop essential life skills, especially communication skills. So I think it's very relevant, especially in our society.
Who is the most influential person in your life and why?
My mother is the most influential person in my life. At this point in time, I live with my mother and 4 younger cousins. My mother has always been there for me. She is my best friend. Mom, I love you. My mother is the one whom I go to whenever I'm down or whenever something happens. We just have that kind of relationship. And she's the one who has always instilled in me from a very early age that I should be a leader, never a follower. And I think it's because of my mother's words to me at such a tender age. I think she uttered those words to me when I was probably in preschool. So I think it's because of that I was able to become the first deputy head girl of the St. Martin's Primary School and also the head girl at the Convent High School. My mother has always taught me to be a leader and to not give in to peer pressure. She wants me to be my own person, and that is exactly what I want for other people.
I'm sure she'll be very proud of you. What would you say constitutes as true beauty?
A lot of people think that beauty is skin deep, but I don't think so. I think beauty always comes from within. Beauty, in my opinion, starts with one's attitude. If we have positive attitudes, then we can consider ourselves very beautiful people. Positive attitudes also affect the way that we treat other people. So if we have positive attitudes, everybody's going to be drawn to us, and that's what makes us even more beautiful than what we look like on the outside. If we are always willing to help people, then that's going to make us even more attractive than someone wearing the best makeup or someone with the best hairstyle or the latest fashion.
I agree. I agree. What is success to you?
Many people have different ideas of success. Some think that success is having a big house, having a good family. But to me, success is much more than that. Whenever you can set a goal for yourself and you can achieve that goal and you believe in yourself, I think you are successful. Whether or not you emerge as number 1 or number 2, I think you are successful once you tried. Because if we tell ourselves that we cannot do anything and we don't try, then we're not going to be successful. We're not going to have experiences. So I never think that people really lose. You either win or you gain experience. And that gaining experience is enough to be successful.
Okay. What would you say your edge is over the other contestants? And I like that she's thinking about it.
I think my edge could possibly be the fact that I'm very calm. I'm a calm person. I try not to worry too much. And as I mentioned before, I am a spiritual person, so I pray. And because of my faith, I know that whatever I do, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and God will see to that.
That's very confident. If you win this competition, how will you make a difference?
If I were to win the Miss Dominica 2015 title, I think I can start small. I think I should start small. I should start in the school setting where I am employed. I can start with my students, pushing my platform forward, and my platform is the power of perception. And because I am engaged with young people every day, I think that what I can do is improve as a teacher. I can only keep getting better. And once I get my students on board, or once I get my students to believe in themselves and to do what they have to do in order to be successful, then I think that's going to cause a chain reaction. Because if I can start in the school, then my students would probably they will be empowered to spread what they have learned, and it can be a chain reaction all over Dominica.
The power of perception. I think I understand what that is, but tell me a little bit about what your platform is all about.
Perception, as you know, refers to our point of view. So in my opinion, we can have 2 points of view. We can look at a glass as being half full, or we can look at that glass as being half empty, meaning that we could be optimists or pessimists. And I think that optimists tend to, well, I know that optimists tend to see the brighter side of things, and because of that, they tend to make a lot of good choices, or they are very confident in themselves, whereas pessimists look at the negative side of everything, and because of that, they lack self-confidence, therefore they might make bad choices and they may fall. However, with my platform, I want everyone to understand just how powerful they are and just how powerful their perception of themselves is. I want everybody to understand how powerful they are, because we are powerful. And even if we make bad choices, it is never too late to get up. It is never too late to get up after we have fallen. And when we get up, we can be even stronger and even more confident. It's all about our attitudes and our perception.
While there are places in the world removing God and prayer from schools, and you're a teacher, you're in the education system, what do you think of Dominica's efforts to keep that foundation in the schools?
I think we're making a good effort to keep that foundation in the schools, and because of that, I think we are doing well in terms of education. I think we are doing well, and in my opinion, God is the foundation, and without God, we will fall.
What's your knowledge of any government initiatives taking place or that have taken place in your community?
In Bath Estates, there has been a new housing project recently started, and it's almost complete.
Okay.
Yes, it's very close to where I live. So this is what the government of Dominica has initiated in my community recently, along with the help of the Chinese government.
Okay. And what do you think of government's efforts to create employment for our young people through the NEP program?
I support the National Employment Program. I commend the government for taking that step, because they're doing much more than they probably think. They're allowing persons to gain experience. They're allowing persons to find some sort of self-fulfillment, and I think that is just commendable. It is really commendable, because young persons who otherwise could not find a job, they have been matched, so to speak, with an employer in their particular field of study, and I think that is exceptional.
Okay, so I want to give you a few minutes to speak to the Dominican public about your platform and tell them why it's important to you.
My platform is the power of perception, and I stress on the word power because we are powerful as human beings, and I want everyone to understand that. If we understand how powerful we are, then we are going to make a difference in our own lives. Nothing can prevent us from achieving our goals. Nothing and no one but ourselves. If we think that we can achieve it, we will achieve it. If we are optimistic and we are confident and we are hopeful, there is nothing that is going to prevent us from reaching our goals and doing all that we have to do in order to succeed. This platform is very important to me because I'm an educator, and as an educator, I've observed that some people lack confidence in themselves. Some students, some older members of society lack confidence in themselves, and because of their lack of confidence, they're not able to see anything good for themselves or for their future. And in my opinion, if someone were to just speak to them and to inform them, let them see how important it is to be optimistic and to be hopeful, then they can do so much more than they think they are capable of doing.
You're also sponsored by Big Edge and Minia 7-Eleven. Tell us a little bit about your sponsors.
Big Edge Financial Express is located right here in Roseau, and this is a financial company which was recently established in 2011, and Big Edge Financial Express focuses on making funds available to the public for emergency situations or for education or health purposes. So at the lowest rates in Dominica. So Big Edge Financial Express is the company for you if you need any emergency funding.
Okay, and what about Minia 7-Eleven?
And Minia 7-Eleven, as we all know, is a mini-mart with 2 branches, one in Portersville and one in Kenfield.
Okay.
So you could visit any one of those branches between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 p.m.
And I'm sure you're happy to be sponsored by them.
Yes, I am.
Okay. That's it for this edition of Journey to the Throne. Join us again for another edition. See you next time.